In this video, I'll be going over the odd problems for the 1.1, 1.2 skills practice page, covering interpreting and solving algebraic expressions. My recommendation is that you follow along with me on each odd problem and then pause the video to solve the corresponding even problem. You'll be responsible for submitting this entire page, both the front and the back, to Canvas by the due date. I'm going to start with the first one. It's asking me to evaluate 5 to the 3rd power. In order to show work for this one, I just want you to show me that you understand that raising something, what raising something to a power means. And what that means is we're going to be multiplying that number by itself, the number of times it's indicated by the power. So 5 to the 3rd means I'm multiplying 5 times 5 times 5. And then we're just going to solve that. You could either plug it in your calculator as 5 to the 3rd, or you could do 5 times 5 times 5. And what we get is 125. So you can go ahead and pause the video and work on number 2 on your own. I'm going to move on to number 3. The next one is the quantity 8 minus 4 times 2. So for this one, we're going to be using order of operations. As a quick review, we use PEMDAS for order of operations. Parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication and division in the same step, working left to right, and then addition and subtraction in the same step, going from left to right. So first thing I'm going to do here is parentheses. So I have 8 minus 4, which is 4. Everything else is going to drop down. So the only thing I have left to do is multiply 4 times 2, which equals 8. Looking at number 5, I have 10 plus 8 times 1. There are no parentheses and there are no exponents, so the next step I'm going to do is multiplication and division. That means I'm going to multiply 8 times 1, which is 8. Everything else is going to drop down. 10 plus 8 is 18. The next problem is 12 times the quantity 20 minus 17 minus 3 times 6. So first I'm going to solve whatever is in the parentheses. 20 minus 17. 20 minus 17 is 3. I'm going to keep that in parentheses, and it'll be multiplied by 12. I'm going to drop down minus 3 times 6. Next, even though there are parentheses here, I'm just using that to show that we're multiplying. There are no exponents, so we're going to move on to multiplication and division, and we're going to work from left to right. So first I'm going to do 12 times 3. 12 times 3 is 36, and I'm going to drop down minus 3 times 6. I still need to multiply 3 times 6. That is 18, so I have 36 minus 18. 36 minus 18 is 18. On number 9, we have a fraction. If you remember from the guided notes page, we're going to treat a fraction, the numerator and the denominator, separately, and then we're going to divide or simplify the fraction at the very end. So first I'm just looking at the top, 4 plus 3 squared. If I think about PEMDAS, I'm going to start with, I would start with parentheses, which there are none, so I'm moving on to the exponent. I have 3 squared, which means I have 3 times 3. So I'm going to have 4 plus, and then 3 squared is 9 on top. On the bottom, I just have 12 plus 1, which is 13. I need to continue to simplify the top. 4 plus 9 is 13. On bottom, I have 13. 13 over 13, both top and bottom can be divided by 13. You don't have to write this out if you understand what I'm doing here. 13 divided by 13 is 1. 13 divided by 13 is 1. Or you could just recognize that any number divided by itself is 1. All right, as I said, for the skills practice, there is a second page, so I'm going to continue moving on to number 11. with this next set of problems, we're solving algebraic expressions that involve variables. So I have x plus 7, and it's telling me if x equals negative 12. So I'm going to substitute negative 12 anytime I see x. So I have negative 12 plus 7. From there, I'm just going to solve, and you can think back to our integer rules. I have a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive. So what I'm going to end up doing is subtracting these numbers and using the sign of the larger number. So that is going to be negative 5. You can also use your calculator to help you here. Just make sure when you plug in this negative sign that you're using the negative, not the minus symbol. And you may not be able to do that on a super basic calculator. You may need a scientific or graphing calculator to access that symbol, but it's a negative instead of a minus, so negative 12 plus 7 should give you negative 5. And we're finished. Moving on to 13, I have x cubed plus y plus z squared. It's telling me that x equals 3. So whenever I see x, I'm going to put a 3. So I have 3 cubed plus, whenever I see y, I'm going to put a 1. So plus 1 plus z equals 4. So whenever I see a z, I'm going to put a 4 squared. Now that I have substituted all my numbers in for my variables, I can solve using PEMDAS. We have no parentheses, but I do have exponents, so I'm going to take care of those first. 3 cubed means I have 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. Everything else drops down. Except I can go ahead and solve, since these are separate and they don't affect each other, I can go ahead and solve this as well. 4 squared is 16. Next, I would do multiplication and division, but there isn't any, so I'm going to move on and do all of this addition from left to right. So 27 plus 1 is 28, and 28 plus 16 is 44. Number 15, I have 23 minus the quantity of a plus b. And it's telling me that a is 1. So whenever I see an a, I'm going to put a 1 in its place. So I have 23 minus parentheses 1 plus, and b is 7. So 1 plus 7. Using PEMDAS, I'm going to start with parentheses first. I'm going to add 1 plus 7, which is 8. Everything else drops down. So I just have to do 23 minus 8, which equals 15. And finally, the last odd problem here, we have a fraction once again with substitution. So it tells me I have the product of 3xy minus 4 all over 7x, or 7 times x. So it's telling me that x is 2, and there's actually 2 x's here, so whoops, be careful. The highlighter's too big. So x is right here. So I have 3. Now be careful. I'm not just going to put in a 2 because that looks like 32. This is multiplication happening when they're all grouped together. So 3 times 2. And then I'll go ahead and plug in y as well. Y equals 3. So times y is going to be 3 minus 4 all over 7 times x, which is 2. So I just plugged in 2 for x here and the 3 for y here. And you just want to remember, if I have 3xy, I'm not making a number of 300 something. I am multiplying each of these together. And same with the 7x. It's 7 times x. So I need to put multiplication symbols in when I rewrite it. Now I'm going to solve the numerator and the denominator separately and then simplify at the end. So if I look at the top, I have 3 times 2 times 3 minus 4. So I'm going to handle the multiplication first, moving from left to right. So left to right. So I've got 3 times 2, which is 6, and then 6 times 3, which is 18. So I have 18 minus 4 over, and then 7 times 2 is 14. To simplify the top, I'm going to do 18 minus 4, which is 14, over 14. And as we saw before, when I have a number divided by itself, it just equals 1. So it is your responsibility that all of your odd problems on your skills practice page, the work should look just like mine. And now you need to make sure they are able to complete all of the even problems on your own, and make sure that you submit this on Canvas by the deadline. Thanks for watching.